Reverend Jefferson is not here to pass a statement on that he wanted to be heard.
That the Ministers Against Crime and Pastor Jefferson wanted to say that this is not about the red light cameras. He's neutral with that. It's about the injustice that's against the voters. And he feel like that he would not be a proper representative or a man of God that represents the people if he did not speak out against this. He wants to let you know that if you take this lightly, you can find yourselves being overturned on things that are very important to you. Like what? The trash issue where they want to tax the churches. There are things that they can do because they decide this is what I want to do. So if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And it's time for us as citizens of Houston to take it and to realize that if we don't stand, they will walk all over us.
Comments from Michael Kubash.
Well, all of you know I'm the guy that ran the light initially at Milam and Elgin, right?
Yeah.
The day I ran the light, just to give you a little history of that, most people don't realize it, that we had planned it on a Sunday morning so there'd be no traffic. We had family out there with big poles with flags on them. We had my dad out there in a wheelchair, had about 30 family members and friends, and all of a sudden the police showed up. After the camera crews were there and I was live on KTRH, said mic me up because they wanted me live as I ran the light, and the officer walked up to me and he said, "The light." And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Let me have your driver's license. I'm going to write you a ticket." And I thought, he said, "All these cameras are off. You're going to do this anyway?" And I said, "Well, I told the people I'd do it, so I'd do it." So he got my driver's license. He said, "Just after you run the light, we'll block the intersection. When you run the light, just pull over and I'll write you a ticket, sign the ticket, and we're out of here. The mayor's office sent me here to give you a ticket." Well, I felt important at that point. You know what I mean? So anyway, as I got in the car to run the light and to wait for the family to put the things up so no cars were coming, even though they were blocking the intersection like it was a parade, I still had to wait for them, and something really happened inside of me. I realized something, there's a little spark of something different about somebody that does what I'm about to do. This must be how the Patriots felt when they poured the tea out in the ocean. It takes courage to stand up against government. And I have never... It takes courage to stand up against oppressive government and the wrongs. And I thought, I'm going to really do this. And so when I went through the light, I pulled over, and the officer came up to me, and he handed me, he said, "Michael, sign the ticket. Don't say nothing to me, and they're about to be here. Don't make me laugh." And so I signed the ticket, and about that time, the camera started flashing. The news folks caught up with us, and they stuck a camera in my face, and that's what you'll see on the front of the Chronicles page of the Metro page that day. And they asked me this question: "Well, what do you think? The officers wrote you a ticket." I said, "He should have wrote me a ticket. He saw me run a red light." I said, he knows my state of mind. He knows if I'm intoxicated or if I've got some, what's the reason for running the light? Do I have a sick person in my car? I said, he should have wrote me a ticket. We don't need those cameras. We need more cops. And we need more godly preachers. And I appreciate Pastor Nash today. And I appreciate this church. I've been in a lot of interviews about these red light cameras, and I know people think I'm angry when they see me, but you know, they do the angry shot because I'm really a happy guy. Well, Pastor Nash, I'm holding the microphone today, and we're doing an interview in the front of my office, and he made, I don't know exactly what it was that he said that triggered it, but I start laughing. I'm holding the microphone. Finally, he starts laughing, the camera guy starts laughing, and I walk off with the mic, and that's the end of the interview.
I'm going to give the panelists a chance to express themselves or make a statement that you want this audience basically to know about either the red lights or basically a constitutional right violation. And in my opinion, the red light is another catalyst. So there's, excuse me, Terrence Hall candidate for District B. This is both one over in the same. The red light issue just happens to be the catalyst of what's going on, but I think it's atrocious that the city has basically just ignored the will of the voters. 181,000 people who turned out their vote, and just a judge says it's invalid, and that's just it. No, it's we the people. So Paul, I'm going to pass this back over to you for you to make an additional statement.
My area of specialty in the legal field is traffic, and that's how this came about in 1995, before this even became close to coming to fruition here in Houston. We picked up on what was trying to happen in the legislature, and we've been fighting that for a while. So let me just clear up a few, if people don't understand, a few misunderstandings about red light cameras. If you get a red light ticket, it will not go on your record. If you get a red light ticket and if you don't pay it, they cannot issue a warrant. If you get a red light ticket and you do not pay it, they will not suspend your registration. The City of Houston Police Department, I think out of their division in Mesa, Arizona, I think that's where it comes from. Yeah. They will send you notices telling you how bad it's going to be, and there'll be warnings, and it'll be in red, and it will try to scare you. But Ed Emmett and the tax assessor collector have both said that you can register your car in Harris County. The only thing you cannot do is register it online, and you cannot register it at a Fiesta. But if you go to a county building, you can do that, okay? And I wanted to make sure that everyone was clear on that, and they cannot put it on your credit report. So that's the nature of that. So you don't have to get all bent out of shape. And on a side note, I want to thank everyone for being here. It's like I told my kids, they collected signatures out in front of the courthouse last summer. They got 5,000 signatures.
Have them stand up.
And stand up, guys. And I told them, as city officials came out, first thing the word got around was I was employing minors. And they said, and someone said, no, that's Paul's kids, you know, because you can work the kids. And then they came out and they said, you're too close to the entrance. You got to get 30 feet away. And I went and said, well, you know, I appreciate what you're saying, but that's smoking ordinance. Okay? And then I took my kids aside and I told them a lot of the freedoms that we have, the reason that they can be there is what people of color, the African Americans went through in the 60s. I can never, ever be able to appreciate what it took for you to vote. I will, no matter how much I try to know, I will never know. But like the Ministers Against Crime, when everyone hated us, except for the Ministers Against Crime and this lovely lady here, I will never forget the Ministers Against Crime or this lovely lady here, and I will always do everything I can, long after cameras are gone. I'll make this commitment publicly to whoever's the president. I will help you whatever I can, whenever I can. From this day forward, I will never forget it.
Thank you, Paul. And as I mentioned earlier, my name is Randall Callanan, and I am a civil rights lawyer. And what that is a person who sues the government, and that includes the state, the county, and the city. And I have many lawsuits against the city of Houston. And if you were to receive a red light camera ticket, a new red light camera ticket, now that the vote has been in, my legal opinion is you have a potential claim against the city of Houston for violation of your civil rights. And they will hand out and the city will hand out so many tickets that it'll probably qualify for what's called a class action. That is where you get a few people to sue, and then everybody can hang on to their tickets until the lawsuit is over, and then if there's an award of monetary damages you can collect from that, or at least you won't have to pay your ticket. But one of the defenses the city will use is, well, this person can't collect because they paid their ticket. So my legal advice to you is if you'd like to get in on any possible future class action, that you do not pay your red light camera ticket.
All right, so they asked for some remarks. I'm here and I'm obviously elected to city council, and there are things I thought before I got elected that government didn't listen to the little guy or the little girl, or the poor guy or the poor girl, or the person of color or the poor person. And that's one reason I ran for city council. Once I got elected, I found out that it's true. And so I try really hard to be the voice for the people that government just doesn't want to pay attention to. So I want to bring up some things that we do regularly on council that you really need to pay attention to. Because the truth is, this red light camera thing is not the first time that the city has disregarded people and their votes. But if you paid attention to something we did recently, the historic district designation, that was a violation, in my respectful opinion, of constitutional rights. We took people's property rights and we counted people who didn't vote as yeses for what the government wanted. We had fake signatures. We totally disregarded them when you were talking about invalid elections. So we've done it this year. What we have done to George Rodriguez, we took away his constitutional rights. The city of Houston wrongfully imprisoned him for over 17 years based on a lying analyst at HPD. And we, as recently as June of this year, went and paid city money to argue at the Fifth Circuit that we should not pay that man the money that we rightfully should be paying him. We do it all the time. The red light camera, I'm not going to get into it because we know my opinion on that. Those of you who live around any bayous like Sims Bayou, if you remember the flood ordinance that we had that unconstitutionally took property, and you will remember that the city's position was that it was not an unconstitutional taking. And the only way the citizens ended up getting their property rights back was to sue us. And we appealed and we appealed and we appealed. And I will tell you, I fought that fight too, right? Because when the government wants something, it takes it. And you gotta hope either that you're rich, like the people at Ashby High Rise, who had money to mount a defense against that, or you've gotta hope that people are driven by organizations like Ministers Against Crime, who will help galvanize people. Because elected officials listen to two things. We listen to people with money and connections.